Big things are happening for Jamaica as a result of what's in the pipeline, courtesy of government's growth strategy. Hear all about it in this episode of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Audrey Williams. Before we begin rolling out the details, get up-to-date information on what's happening in our news package.
A healthy and educated people living in a clean, natural environment, reducing crime, improving the justice system and governance, building a prosperous economy. It's not just a vision, it's reality. Learn about the plan. Join the vision.
My country, Jamaica, has a rich heritage and is very unique. If we all pull together, we can make it the place of choice to live, work, raise family, and to do business.
For more information on Vision 2030, call the Planning Institute of Jamaica or visit vision2030.gov.jm, your parish library, school library, or the Jamaica Information Service.
Good day, I'm Andrea Chisholm and this is your JRS News for Wednesday, April 15. Effective today, persons found in possession of 2 ounces or less of ganja can no longer be arrested or detained by the police. That provision is contained in the Dangerous Drugs Amendment Act 2015, which was passed by both Houses of Parliament in February. The legislation has been brought into operation by a notice published in the Jamaica Gazette today by Justice Minister Senator Mark Golding. As a result, persons caught with 2 ounces or less of ganja can be issued a $500 ticket payable at any tax office within 30 days. They no longer face a criminal record. The same pertains for persons caught smoking ganja in public. It, however, remains a criminal offense to be in possession of more than 2 ounces of ganja, and offenders can be arrested and sentenced to a fine, imprisonment, or both if found guilty. Meanwhile, the law now allows the possession and use of ganja for scientific research, medicinal purposes, and as a religious sacrament for persons of the Rastafarian faith.
The changes represent an approach which will inure to the benefit of the persons concerned and the society as a whole, and reduce the burdens on the court system.
Industry Minister Anthony Hilton says the previously announced $5 billion investment in Jamaica's Logistics Hub initiative will be signed next Monday, April 20. The minister, who first announced the signing at the Jamaica Investment Forum, told Parliament yesterday that it would take the form of a Memorandum of Understanding.
A Memorandum of Understanding will be signed with a consortium of European and US interests. This is the earliest possible date for all parties involved. Mr. Speaker, the MOU will allow detailed discussion to commence between representatives of the government and the Jamaican team.
Minister Hilton was making his contribution to the 2015-2016 sectoral debate. The MOU should expedite the implementation of projects under the Logistics Hub initiative, such as the Caymanas Special Economic Zone. Kingston's entry corridor leading from the Norman Manley International Airport is to be improved at a cost of $258 million. Tourism Minister Dr. Wickham McNeil made the announcement yesterday during his sectoral debate presentation in Parliament.
The passenger arrivals at Norman Manley, which is used predominantly by Jamaicans and business travelers, recorded an increase in arrivals moving from 670,000 to 700,000. That is why we plan to significantly upgrade the corridor on Windward Road from Rockford to the intersection of Mountain View Avenue.
Dr. McNeil, who opened the sectoral debate, said Kingston's entry corridor roadwork was part of a series of transformational projects to be undertaken this year by his ministry. Montego Bay Hip Strip in St. James will also be renovated. The removal of light posts and exposed electrical wiring are among the works to be conducted. And the Tourism Ministry is taking steps to prevent a fallout in visitor arrivals as a result of the United States resuming diplomatic relations with Cuba. The Tourism Minister will be addressing the matter with the Cuban government at a Commission of the Americas meeting in Haiti next month.
Additionally, Mr. Speaker, the Jamaica Tourist Board is doing a study on the effects of opening up of the Cuba to the U.S. market, which will be ready later this year.
Dr. McNeil said that in anticipation of the U.S. policy shift, his ministry had already successfully negotiated for the Louis Crystal Cuba cruises to home port in Montego Bay. The Cuba Cruises home porting program started last year. And finally, the Economic Program Oversight Committee (EPOC) is reporting that government expects to meet the primary balance target of $121 billion at the end of March. Meeting the primary balance is a key component of Jamaica's economic reform program, which is supported by the International Monetary Fund. At a press conference on Tuesday, EPOC's co-chairman Richard Baz said that for the period April 2014 to February 2015, the primary balance was $4.6 billion below projection. This was partly due to a $3.5 billion shortfall in revenues in February as a result of the underperformance of company tax and the local general consumption tax. Expenditure was also $2 billion more than budgeted due to payments made on debt obligations and the purchasing of buses for the Jamaica Urban Transit Company.
Normally, this would be a very worrying situation to have missed the primary balance target in February. But at the EPOC meeting, the financial secretary, who is privy to the March revenue numbers, indicates to us that based on what he has seen, we will achieve the March primary balance target of $121 billion.
In the meantime, as at March this year, Jamaica's net international reserves was approximately $900 million more than target, closing out at $2.3 billion. Inflation for February was negative 0.7%, resulting in inflation for the last 11 months to be 4.5%. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Thank you for watching.
Which government organization offers you exceptional customer service? A tax office, police station, hospital, post office, health center, or NIS office? Vote for your favorite public sector organization in the Public Sector Customer Service Competition. Call toll-free 1-888-991-2752. Visit cabinet.gov.jm and follow the instructions. Or drop your entry form at government agencies island-wide. Votes close April 30, 2015. Let your voice be heard.
The first big thing on our pages today is the signing of the agreement for the privatization of the Kingston Container Terminal. At the signing ceremony, Fareed Salem, president of Terminal Link and executive officer of CMA CGM, spoke about the reason the company invested in Jamaica.
We like Jamaica because there is governance in this country. There is security in this country. And it is an equitable environment for employees and employers.
Other investors shared similar sentiments at this year's investment forum held at the Montego Bay Convention Center. Let's learn more about the forum and hear what the investors had to say.
3 days of riveting discussions.
I think the feedback has been tremendous.
Over 90 international organizations, close to 150 international investors, and a number of government and local private sector interests revving up support for the Jamaican economy.
It's all about business.
The Jamaica Investment Forum JIF 2015 was the island's second international conference held to provide investors with detailed information on business opportunities in the country. It was organized by the Jamaica Promotions Corporation JAMPRO at the Montego Bay Convention Center in St. James.
Our goal is to facilitate win-win investments that will bring you a good rate of return and also create the jobs we desire for our people. My government is inviting you to do business with Jamaica, is committed to nurturing the enabling environment for investments to succeed.
We had over 160 business meetings, and that's a new feature which we didn't have in the first iteration. And that is because we wanted to make sure that business got done.
So what came out of the conference? Well, in addition to one-on-one discussions, during the breakout sessions, participants were given a detailed account of the investment sectors being targeted, like logistics.
We realized our ambitions of becoming the logistics hub of the Americas and the fourth pillar in the global trading system.
Agriculture.
The import bill in and of itself provides huge opportunities for investment, and there are other areas that we need to look into.
Manufacturing.
We're seeing real expansion now into electrical, electronics, printing, packaging, and paper. Certainly big opportunities. You can bring in the raw material and go through the conversion process.
Tourism.
With JAMPRO's health and wellness tourism strategy, there's an opportunity to not only focus on building the healthcare infrastructure, but also to look at service development.
Business process outsourcing.
The most important aspect of this industry is the human component, and this is where we believe we have a tremendous strength.
And international financial services.
Jamaica is well positioned to leverage our reputation as a well-resourced and a transparent jurisdiction. We are in compliance with all the international standards on money laundering and on tax transparency at the moment.
Investment comes from confidence, and I can tell you that we have major investment going on in our plants now, all around driving efficiency, how we're going to be competitive on a global basis.
And with endorsements like that from the Jamaica Manufacturers Association, participants were invited to examine the opportunities in the priority sectors, invest, partner with other Jamaican companies if necessary, make a good return on their investment, and help to contribute to the wealth and the prosperity of our nation. The talks have borne fruit.
I believe that we have, to use a baseball term, hit a home run, or in cricket, a six.
There are two hotel projects which I feel, even at this early stage, fairly certain will happen over the next 2 to 3 years. And people need to understand that it does take that time for it to unfold.
What we're going to do is we're not going to just give you infrastructure for BPO. We're going to provide world-class BPO infrastructure along with complementary services such cybersecurity, technology-driven healthcare, and we're also focusing on telemedicine.
We have again had very strong interest in the BPO sector, and we see a number of seats, as we say, coming out of it, and a lot of new players moving in, and we think that there will be some expansion in that area.
I think we are successful in providing a very deal-making oriented ecosystem. We have been successful in advancing the discussion of certain projects that we have been working on, and we have generated some new leads in the process.
I've been able to meet suppliers and potential development projects. It's been well organized. The food has been good. And it's just been wonderful networking.
Very engaging, informative, insightful.
Everything has been fantastic, and I'm looking forward to coming to the next one.
This is something that we need to maintain as a tradition. If not every 3 years, at least every 2 years will be good, so we can invite a lot of investors.
And amidst discussions on doing business in Jamaica, participants got a chance to taste, feel, and experience aspects of Jamaica's rich and vibrant culture through various cocktail receptions and an occasion to remember, the amazing Jamaica Night experience. So Jamaica is poised for even greater investments in the coming years, thanks to the second staging of the Jamaica Investment Forum 2015. It has introduced scores of investors to business opportunities in Jamaica, laid the groundwork for future investments, and forged partnerships with a number of stakeholders that will lead to the growth and prosperity of our nation.
Our young people will not be boxed in. In fact, they have done feats that were mere dreams in our day, right? And there's more to come because they think big. Let's hear from Aubrey Stewart, a youth leader and volunteer. He has big dreams for his colleagues.
My dream is that young people will learn to convert every negative feeling into a feeling of hope and a decision not to allow any oppressing situation to result in defeat, but to serve as an inspiration to create and continue the journey of hope. I dream that young people will realize the power that lies in being positive, self-motivated, and the belief that you can. I dream that young people will be able to use that same hope that changed me from Aubrey Stewart, who was once broken by the apparently hopeless situation that I was born in, to Aubrey Stewart, a youth advocate, youth leader, and a believer in the hope for a better tomorrow. Your circumstances and challenges do not define you. You must take control of your future. The success of your future means the success of your nation. Together, with the same hopes and dreams, we can transform the world. As Marcus Garvey once said, there is no height to which we cannot climb by using the active intelligence of our minds. What is your dream? What are you doing to inspire the people of your nation to have that same dream?
It's camera, action. Get ready for Jamaica Film Festival 2015. From July 7 to 11, venues across the corporate area will be showcasing the historic, dramatic, comedic, and animated sides of Jamaica. More than 300 minutes of showtime, some 15 films, 4 days of experiencing the talents of local actors, scriptwriters, and directors. Gear up as international film investors invade the country to watch Jamaica. For more on Jamaica Film Festival 2015, contact Jamaica Promotions Corporation JAMPRO by phone or email.
He came, he saw, and he even attempted to master the accent.
Wagwan, Jamaica!
There was nothing bigger happening in Jamaica from April 8 to 9 than the visit of the 44th President of the United States and CARICOM heads of state. JIS has a recap of all the happenings.
It is an extraordinary pleasure to be in beautiful Jamaica. There is a long history between our two peoples. It is not just a deep friendship between states, but it is also a family bond that exists. And I want to thank Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller for her hospitality and her team. I know it's always a lot of work when I come to visit someplace, and I think that everybody has treated us with wonderful hospitality, and we very, very much appreciate that.
And I just want to say to you, you might not know, but you're very loved in this country, Jamaica.
By the end of his visit, the American president would certainly witness that love, soak in a little of the culture, and as it was a working visit, engage with Jamaica's national and youth leaders, as well as CARICOM heads, to build stronger relations with the U.S. Not long after his arrival in Jamaica on the night of April 8, U.S. President Barack Obama made his way to 56 Hope Road.
The quick trip that I made last night to Bob Marley's house was one of the more fun meetings that I've had since I've been president.
And after taking care of that very important business and enjoying a good night's rest on the rock, the U.S. President began his official engagements on April 9 with a bilateral meeting with Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller.
The main aim of our dialogue, therefore, was to further strengthen a partnership that existed long before the formal establishment of diplomatic relations in 1962.
We had a lot to talk about. First and foremost, we discussed how much we support the ongoing reform efforts in Jamaica to deal with its public debt while still making investments in youth and the people of Jamaica, which ultimately will determine long-term growth, to strengthen good governance and rule of law.
The two leaders also discussed the need to address climate change, human resource development, trade, economic relations, and national security, including the transnational drug trade. Energy security for Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean was also high on the agenda.
Oftentimes, people of the Caribbean, despite having less resources, are paying significantly higher prices for energy. And if we can lower those costs through the development of clean energy and increased energy efficiency, we could unleash, I think, a whole host of additional investment and growth. And I think there are going to be a whole host of areas where the United States can be helpful.
Those areas will include pursuing the development and deployment of energy-related technologies in Jamaica, courtesy of a statement of intent signed during the President's visit. It will facilitate collaboration between Jamaica's Energy Ministry and the U.S. Department of Energy.
Through this statement of intent, we aim to encourage increased bilateral trade, boost the development of emerging technologies and industries, and pave the way for future innovation in energy-related fields.
Energy was also a hot topic during the U.S. CARICOM summit that followed the U.S.-Jamaica bilateral talks.
Today we're announcing new partnerships, including a new fund to mobilize private investment in clean energy projects in the Caribbean and in Central America. And I'm confident that given the commitment of the CARICOM countries and the U.S. commitment, that this is an issue in which we can make great strides over the short term and even greater strides over the long term.
The leaders also discussed cooperation in achieving economic growth, improved trade relations, climate change action, regional security, and U.S.-Cuba relations.
Our dialogue today reaffirms our strong partnership and also signals our desire to take CARICOM-USA relations to a higher level, capitalizing on the gains of the past and exploring new opportunities for the future.
The outcome of our discussions today will no doubt strengthen the partnership between us.
Greetings, Massive. Hey. Wagwan, Jamaica.
It was the moment most people were waiting for, the town hall-style rap session with over 300 youth leaders from Jamaica and other Caribbean countries. After the photo frenzy entrance, the U.S. President addressed the young people and announced a $68 million investment in education, training and employment programs for Latin American and Caribbean youth.
These investments will help young people in unemployed and impoverished and marginalized communities, give them a chance to gain the skills they need to compete and succeed in the 21st century economy.
He also launched the Young Leaders of America's initiative.
So this year we'll bring 24 entrepreneurs and civil society leaders from Latin America and the Caribbean, including young Cuban leaders, to the United States. Then next year we'll increase this fellowship to 250 young leaders. And we'll help you to expand your commercial and social ventures. We'll embed you in an American business and incubators. We'll give U.S. participants the chance to continue their collaboration with you in your home countries.
With his presentation out of the way, it was time to take questions from the audience.
As it relates to human rights and social change, how do you make the decision to allow societies to go through the natural evolutionary process of having change occur on their own versus having governments exert policies to make these same political, social changes?
You know, every society, as I said, is at a different phase in development, in their own history. They have different cultural traditions. And so the way I think about it is that the United States has certain core values and principles that we believe deeply in. In the ultimate circumstance, where the violations of our values are so severe that they start spilling over, and in the instance of, for example, genocide, we may say to ourselves, in concert with the international community, we need to intervene, because this government is so brutal and so unacceptable that we need to protect people. But we do that in the context of an international conversation.
America's engagement with Cuba was also important to the Caribbean youth. And given the long history of Caribbean migration to the U.S., the matter of America's immigration policy for undocumented and legal citizens was hardly a surprise question.
I have to be honest, a lot of people want to come to America. So unless we just had no borders, there's always going to be a wait. There's always going to be background checks. There's always going to be some prioritization in terms of who's admitted and who's not. But I do think that there are practices we have, for example, where someone has a relation in the United States, is clearly qualified to become, at some point, a legal resident and maybe in the future a citizen. But in order to do it, they then have to first leave the country, wait. Now they're separated from their families. I mean, there have to be ways in which we can make the system clearer and less burdensome.
As for the decriminalization and legalization of ganja in the U.S. and Jamaica,
I have to tell you that it's not a silver bullet. Because, first of all, if you are legalizing marijuana, then how do you deal with other drugs? And where do you draw the line? And if we combine a public health perspective, a focus on not simply throwing every low-level person with possession into prison, but trying to get them treatment, we combine that with economic development and alternative opportunities for youth, then I think we can strike the right balance. It may not, comport with completely with your vision for the future, but I think that we could certainly have a smarter approach to it than we currently do.
He also addressed Jamaica's economic reform measures and the IMF agreement.
I think that the current government has been wise to work hard to abide by the IMF provisions. That's not been easy, and I think that has been the right thing to do. I've had a great conversation. Thank you, Jamaica. Thank you. Appreciate it, young leaders.
President Obama was then whisked away to his final engagement, a stop at the National Heroes Park. There, he paid homage to war veterans as he laid a wreath at the cenotaph. And after less than 24 hours in Jamaica, the 44th President of the United States ended his highly anticipated visit that, by all indications, lived up to expectations.
Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing gonna be alright.
So, how are you using your dreams to change and build Jamaica? Do not hesitate to share your responses on our Facebook and Twitter pages. The JIS continues to be your media provider for all things current. Continue to visit our website and use our YouTube channel. You can also download the JIS News app for your smartphone as a handy tool to stay in the know. I'm Audrey Williams. On behalf of the hardworking production team here at the JIS, remember to embrace each experience as an opportunity for growth.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.